Hey folks, finally got around to watching Black Panther. I'm not done with it, but figured I'd comment on it because it was such a controversy when it first came out, and it took me a while to see it. I don't know if people I was almost afraid to tell people I hadn't seen it, but I couldn't afford to at the time to go to the theater and watch it because maybe people think I'm some right wing weirdo because I didn't want to see it. I did want to see it, but I couldn't afford to. But anyway, I mean, all that thing since there, it was on Netflix for a little while. I didn't have access to it, and when I did, it went away. But I'm watching it right now, and a few thoughts. I mean, it's cool, to repeat a line from MST3K. You should repeat to yourself, it's really just a show, and you should really just relax, to all the right-wingers out there who made a big deal out of it. But one point that somebody made, I think, I don't remember, it might have been O'Reilly or somebody, was that the society wasn't very progressive that they were featuring there. And I kind of agree. It's based off royalty. The hierarchy is a might makes right kind of thing, You had to fight to be the lead dog. I mean, even Painted Wolves of Africa, they get together and they sing, and by the time they're done, they pick their hierarchy. So that's almost even animals have a more civilized method of choosing people, and they're not the only ones. I'm sure there's other animals that have well, maybe not, I don't know. Painted wolves are weird. But also, it's a heavy footprint to have in the middle of Africa all of that infrastructure that doesn't take into account the any of the trees or the biosphere or any of the natural biological creatures and systems there are not being utilized. It's being utilized in a very Western way where you take and extract and or I shouldn't necessarily say that's a Western thing. I mean, that not necessarily, but there are windmills, and you can look at a lot of Western engineering that has utilized things like mills that use streams, etc. But yeah, I mean, it was a good point. It's not a very progressive society, and it's kind of weird. It is a little ironic that all the progressives out there, Rosa Parks, for going and sitting in the theater and watching this movie. I'm being sarcastic, of course. Not that big of a deal whether you went to see it or not. And like I said, I couldn't afford it. I would have gone myself. But yeah, I mean, there is some real truth to that. There's a system based on royalty. It's not a democratic system. It's there's a lot of toxic tradition. So that being that only violence can decide who's on top. Sort of like the medieval thinking of where knights had to fight to the death to prove their innocence. And I think no matter how civilized we become, there's still a little bit of our brain that thinks that way. It's better to, if it's in the imagination, I think, than actually politically, something that shows its way politically. But anyway, I'm just rambling. I'm gonna watch the rest of the movie now. Just my thoughts.